So how do you handle objections, Johnny boy?
Well, the easiest one, I mean, each individual objection is different. So how I handle a specific one depends on the context. But generally, the way to handle an objection is to bring it up first.
Yeah.
So as you begin your sales journey, so to speak, you might only be aware of a few. I mean, if you've been in the business for a long while, you can just stop and think about the different questions people ask you. Just stop them. You know, price.
Yeah.
Is this allowed? You know, is this the appropriate solution? Will it make a big mess in my house? How quickly will you be done? Those kinds of things. Those things you should know. And as time goes by, you will encounter more and more objections, and some of them will just come up right in your face, and you think, okay, that's new. Make a note of it, a mental note, and then develop the argument afterwards. Because what you should be doing is, if you'll have a little black book of objections, and every single one of them should make its way into your sales framework. We'd call it a script, but let's call it a framework, because it's more of a framework than a script. A script kind of like a verbatim. We don't do that. We work to a framework. So it goes into your sales framework. So you bring it up ahead of time. Now there's several reasons for doing that. One is just the optics of it. It shows you have integrity. Yeah, I'm afraid we're going to make a bit of a mess, but here's what we do to ameliorate the situation. We keep it down to a minimum and we'll clean up afterwards. And we guarantee we'll leave your house cleaner than it was before we started. Otherwise, some penalty, whatever. Yeah? So you bring the objection up and then you dispel it. That shows you have integrity. It also puts their mind at rest and you control the dialogue about it. You're not in this situation where, yes, 9 active hours. You're not in this situation where
Hang on a minute. 9 active hours? You fucking sat there.
I know, but it's when you wave your arms around. These things aren't that accurate, but they are consistently inaccurate. So they are a good guide.
You just celebrated a false win.
Hey, sue me. Sue me. I've still got bigger fucking muscles than you have. Anyway, if you bring the objection up, it shows you have integrity, but also it enables you to maintain control of it. Because you brought it up, you then control the dialogue around it. And you can often bring the objection up, overcome it, and it's gone even before they've thought of it. So a good one is, does it make a mess? All of a sudden, this woman maybe is thinking, big mess, big mess, big mess, kids getting cut by bits and things lying around, dust getting everywhere. And all of it can grow in her mind, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before she actually brings it out of her mouth. And all of a sudden to her, it goes from a little idea to this big problem. Whereas if you bring the objection up and say, yeah, I know you might be concerned about the mess, or people often are, but here's what we do. 3, 4, 5-stage plan to ameliorate the mess and minimize it. It's gone before it's even started.
There's a few reasons why that's so magic. One, people are fucking idiots and timid and stupid and often won't even bring up their own objections. And they just let it fester inside, and they never actually tell you that's the reason they're not going to buy from you, because they're too chicken shit to say otherwise. Furthermore, even if they aren't thinking of that objection right there and then, it stops it ever popping up if someone else brings it up and says to them, hang on, you need to be careful because of X, Y, and Z.
And then they deal with it. Yeah. So
they'll just go, he mentioned that.
And you deal with it. Now, here's the thing. You cannot hide objections. You cannot hide from them. I know people who, I've had this conversation with people, and they say, yeah, but if we don't mention it at all, it might not come up. And they do, they actually think that. And no, just like you've said, the chances are if one person has had this objection, everyone has probably thought of it at some point.
Yeah.
And if they're not telling you about it and bringing it up, they're probably thinking about it. You know, clients and customers are often very stupid and uneducated in what you're doing, and they're not qualified to judge your solution, but they're not completely fucking thick. If they've got objections, they're in their heads, they're in their minds. And ultimately, those objections are more powerful if they're hidden, and they can work their disastrous, cancerous fucking sorcery without you bringing them up. So don't for a moment think that because someone hasn't brought an objection up, they're not thinking about it, because the chances are they are. It's there. So that's the easy way to handle objections, is to get your little black book and just bring them out.
The way